Hey there, welcome back to the channel. It's been a while since my last video. I apologize, but I'm back in action tonight with a bigger project, probably the biggest one I've ever done. I'm changing the rear brake pads and rotors on this 2017 Porsche 911 991.2 base Carrera. So it's the C2 version. It's the base Carrera with PDK. So we're going to do a rear brake job with the official OEM parts purchased from Suncoast, and we're going to do the pad change and the rotors. I did the other side before I made this video, and it went successfully. And so I figured, you know what, that would be my practice and dry run, and I did it right, and I did it well, and I learned a few lessons along the way that should save me time when I do it for you guys on this side of the car. We're going to change the right rear right now. So just a couple notes of what tools you'll need, and there's other videos that are similar to this, but I think this is really the only 991.2 or the second 991.2 you'll find on YouTube right now. Actually, no, this is the only one that's a base Carrera. The other video I saw was somebody who had a Carrera S. So he had the red calipers, which were larger, a little more of a wider disc on the rotor, so it's a little more of aggressive setup, but not much different. But this is unique in that it's the C2 version of the 911. So 2017 C2 rear brake. You're going to need a couple things. I'll just start from left to right to left here, and those are the OEM brake pads I ordered from Suncoast. They came in a box of 4 for the rears. I already put the other 2 on the other side. This is the rotor over here. I kept it in the bag. It's brand new. It's very heavy. It's about 20 pounds. I put it on the scale, and it feels like it's 50 pounds, but it's only 20 in actuality. But I think that's just because you're surprised to hold something that is that heavy when it looks like it's so light when it's on the car. So it's sort of like an illusion, plays with your head. But yeah, no, that's a lot of heat dissipating metal there, and so it's heavy. Anyway, moving over, you got to have your torque wrench for your wheel lugs. I'm not going to waste time on that. I figure you guys all know how to do your own wheels, take them on and off. You wouldn't be doing your own brakes if you had trouble with that. So I'm going to skip over that stuff. And as a drill, just in case I need it, the mask is essential because later on we're going to be taking off the old brake parts, vacuuming, scraping with the metal scraper, and you don't want to breathe that stuff in. So I put the mask on. Over here, we have the sensor that I ordered OEM from Suncoast. This is really, really smart to order. Other guys on YouTube have told me and you and others to buy this. If you're gonna do this job yourself, whether you wind up using these or not, you definitely wanna have them on hand. Do not start the brake job, because if you don't take off the old one properly, it will break. And from my experience with it on the other side of the car, I broke this one right here. I didn't break this one, but the tolerances are so tight in terms of the length of the sensor wire they give you that it seems like they presume that you know what you're doing when you do this. So if it's your first time you do this, there's a 60 to 70% chance you're going to break this. So you want to have this part on hand when you do this job, no matter what. I wound up breaking it and using the new ones, which is what they say to do anyway. But I am so glad that I listened to the other people on YouTube and got the brake wear sensors. So, and you got these 2 rotor screws right here. I ordered those as well. Don't do this job unless you order those. You want those to be new. And of course, these are the legendary M12 caliper bolts. You have to put new ones in when you do a brake job. You take the old ones out, even if they look fine, sound fine, feel fine, you're supposed to chuck them out and put new ones in. So I got the new ones. Over here, I got a smaller torque wrench, which I used to actually take the caliper bolts off and then tighten them back at the end to 63 foot-pounds. Okay, that's an essential tool to have. Here's your wire brush. This is your the steel wheel thread tool that you use to pull off your wheel without damaging it. A couple screwdrivers you'll need on hand. The mallet helps you get the rotor off, because it's going to be, my rotors had 20,000 miles on them about, and so it was a little difficult to get them off with the bare hands, so I had to kind of knock them on each side a few times with the mallet. We'll probably have to do that for this video too. And then of course, this is essential. This is the brake pad spreader. Picked that up on Amazon for like $9 or $10. It's a must-have. It works great. It works pretty much as people show you. And it's essential when your pads are really worn down, the ones that you're throwing out and taking off, that you're able to push those all the way back out to the edges. So when the new pads go in, your pads will now clear the rotors, the new rotor, when you go back on. So that's essential too. One of the things I did before we started the video is I already, give me a second here guys, bear with me. Welcome to hit fast forward anytime you want in my videos, because I am a one take guy. I'm not Christopher Nolan, I'm actually the opposite. I'm an idiot when it comes to filming videos, but I do one take, so apologies. If I have to take a leak later on in this video, I just fast forward through those 3 minutes. I leave the camera. So anyway, yeah, right there you'll see I took a little bit of SRF out. I tracked the car, so I have SRF in there. I used a turkey baster. I pulled a little bit out, and it did the job on one side. After I spread it, it did not overflow, so I did a nice job. I will be putting new fluid back in to replace the old fluid I took out. And I'm not too concerned because I'm going to be having a SRF flush and rebleed in a week or so at a speed sport location, so an aftermarket speed shop. So get ready for the track season. So I'm not too concerned about compromised fluid or anything like that. I have a trailer to take the car to the dealership or to the shop. So I'm not as worried as maybe you guys may need to be about making mistakes here and contaminating or putting air bubbles in your brake fluid. You definitely don't want to do that. So when you do these turkey baster operation, be very, very careful. So that's that. I took care of that already. And what do we got here? So I'm just going to get to it. And this is going to be a long video. It could probably run an hour. I figured, for those of you that want to fast forward to key moments to see how this caliper came off and the pads come out, you can fast forward to those spots and kind of navigate through the toggle switch at the bottom. But I'm just going to, again, leave this on, running, watching the job that I do, and hope you enjoy it. Feel free to leave any comments. I'll try to answer them and to the best that I can. So get this off. The wheel off here. So I have the 19 millimeter. I'm gonna chit chat while we do this video here. I apologize, I'm not a polished YouTuber, but I'll try to talk through this. I wasn't sure I was gonna do this job, to be honest with you, because I didn't think some of the other videos, there was a very nice gentleman who has a channel, did a video with his Carrera S, and he presumed that we knew more than we did, and that I knew more than I should, I suppose, to be fair to him. And he fast forwarded through his entire video, and I couldn't see the important little steps, the details. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna make this one long take. And so if you're like me and this is your first brake job, and you're really nervous about doing it, like I was, it's definitely doable. By the way, I'll just cut to the chase right now. This is definitely doable. You just have to have patience and a little bit of technical knowledge, but it's not something that you have to take to the dealer. You can save a lot of coin if you do this. Let me pull the wheel off gently without scratching it. I'm not using that guidepost right now, but I've done this a million times. So let's get this wheel out of here. All right, so what are we guys looking at here? Yeah, you can pretty much see everything. I'm gonna move this to another vantage point also in a moment, but right now I always do a little bit of an inspection here. But all right, follow me for a second. So I spent a lot of time. Let me just make sure I have all my safety. I have a jack. I'm jacking the car up with the race jack right now. I have it very tight over here to make sure it's definitely in a hold position, but you can never trust these things completely. So I'm double redundant safety. I have a jack under there that's very close to a suspension member, that's close to the joint on the car, so there's very little flex if the car were to drop on load on that point. And then just to be extra safe, I got another jack over here that's as high as it can go up on against the ridge of the car. So it's triple redundancy basically. Yeah, that's me. But let's take a look at a couple things here. So right here we got the caliper, as you know. All right, we're not touching these bolts at all. You don't have to worry about these. They don't come into play. You don't worry about the bleed screw for the fluid. We're not worrying about any of that stuff. We're gonna wind up just taking the 2 caliper bolts. Let me see, I apologize here, guys. Man, can you see the caliper bolts over here? There we go, one's right there. That's a caliper bolt. Takes a, I think it's a T55. Well, let me talk out of school here. Yeah, it's a hex T55. Right there, got, where is it? That's a T55 hex. Fits right on the bolt. Bolt up top right there. And there's one down right there. And they literally just come off with average human strength. 63 foot-pounds is a lot, but it's not lug bolt wheel torque a lot. That's more like 90, 100, 120. This is like about half that. So you take those off, this caliper comes off. But before we do that is the tricky part. One of the reasons why I was frustrated by other people's videos is because they kind of skip through the most nuanced, tough part. And you don't want to sit back here and start breaking stuff. Let me get a flashlight. Hold on a second. I want to show you guys some things that are critical. Absolutely critical, because you don't want to screw around with your brake sensor line, start throwing codes on your dashboard or ripping things apart or accidentally unconnecting things that start floating around while you're driving your car in a spirited fashion or on a track. Don't want that. So let me get my flashlight. And please don't judge me. I'm using a very old tool from Sears, sort of almost like an heirloom flashlight. But, you know, I had it laying around and it seemed to have had a hook on it. So, all right. So, a couple things here that we're going to have to wind up manipulating a little bit. Put it like this. Okay. So, this red wire is 1/2 of the brake sensor cable system. All right. It goes to this brake pad on this side, and over here, it comes out as an extension from a black wire where it meets to the first brake pad sensor, which gets embedded into the pad on this side, on the inbound side of the car. Outbound, inbound pad, all right? And this is such made to fit, you barely have any slack to play with. And it took me a while scratching my head to figure out how to take it off, put it on, break it, not break it, put the new one on. It was a little bit of a pain in the butt. You guys will see later. You most definitely will be hitting the fast forward button unless you're falling asleep at the desk. So, yeah. So that's going to come out eventually when the caliper comes off. But to make life easier, over here in the back, I figured out a way to get this off without breaking it. I didn't break that. You literally put a screwdriver in there. We're going to do that. And then we're going to pivot, twist this, take it out gently out of its cradle, and then one more point back here. Oh boy, I don't know if you can see this. One more point back here. There's, oh man, I see everybody on YouTube doing the same thing, trying to find this thing while videoing it. But there's a bracket right back there. Oh man, I'm really doing you no service by not getting a clear picture of this. I have to bury my head in the wheel well to find it myself, but it makes it a little bit easier. But when you find that, it's another cradle for that line of the brake sensor. Let me see if I can get in there with you guys. Stick my head in the wheel well here and find this thing. I got no light. Okay. Man. Okay, here we go. There we go. This little doodad. I gotta come up. Oh man, I'm gonna come from the side here. Now it's turned into an episode of Dumb and Dumber. I'm sorry. You know what? I keep forgetting that the darn... What is going on? Problem is I'm freaking blind, or nearsighted, whatever. I gotta... There it is. Right, I'm looking right at it. Okay. This... How do I get it? One cut Rob Doquan. That's me. All right. Bear with me here. Okay. This piece right here, I'll just do it right now, for crying out loud. You kind of jimmy it. It's like on a, it's rubber. It's rubber. At the end of the day, you kind of twist it and you pull it out. I'm not going to do it yet because I want to take this side out first and use 2 hands. But that just comes, let me see if I can get it. There we go.
See? Boom, got it. And when you put it back later, it just goes back in. It's threaded, it's rubber to cradle. It doesn't hit the wire. It's a very well-designed German part. All right, that'll give you a little extra slack to play with. You'll see how it's important later. Thanks for diving into that hellhole with me. But now you know why I have 3 redundant jacks going at once. That's not the way I want to go out, so yeah. So now we're gonna, this part right here, I'm gonna use a screwdriver. Let's get this light going, more light, more light, more light, more light. Okay. All right, that brake pad right here. Let's get this going now. So take a little screwdriver, this one right here. That's all I used. It's a tiny one. I'll give you some scale. It's a very tiny screwdriver. Flathead. See if this goes as easy as it did the first time. Famous last words. All right, guys. It'd be helpful if I can put this right on that. Right here. Now, if I break this, which is possible, if I break that, I have another one that I bought. And so that's why you do that. How did I do this the first time? I'm holding a camera this time. Last time I had 2 hands, so it was like a real honest-to-God primate. Now I'm actually sitting here one-handed with a video camera. But you see what I'm doing here? I'm gonna put the camera down. I'm gonna do this, but you got to get this clip off sensitively enough, and you know it doesn't break. It'll pull this loom, this wire piece right here will slide right out. It's a male wire and it's a female socket. It literally, once you get this clip out, it just pulls right off. And then we're gonna twist it out of the way. So I'm gonna set the camera aside, see if I can do that for a second. It's definitely doable, you just need 2 hands. All right, so, you know what? Put this over here. That might be in the way for a second, but let's see if I can get in there and do this. You'll hear a little clicking sound when it finally is it? You know what? Let's look at the new one. So right here is the new one. So one way to learn how to take off the old one is to look at what's going on with the new one. So what I'm doing is I'm trying to bend this piece. See, back like that. That's it. And I just got to jimmy it a little bit harder. So let's go in there again. Get it? Man, I'll throw a fit if I wind up losing battery on my phone and the video doesn't end up. I apologize, I got 40% battery here. Like I said, if you break it, you just have the other one, the new one to put in, but I'd really rather not. Boy, the other one came off like easy peasy. Everything's in the way. Everything's in the way. You know what, let me use the bigger screwdriver. Maybe I don't remember properly and I just had more torque from the larger screwdriver. I don't think so. Actually, nope. There it is, boom. See, you hear that click and then it comes off, you just gotta jiggle wiggle. You know, just get jiggy with it a little bit. Ha ha ha. And it comes right off. So can you guys see that? So that's your brake wire sensor that you buy new when you get this job done. I mean, when you do it yourself and you order from Suncoast, you get this part. I'm not going to go through the whole parts list. I showed you the parts, but the Suncoast website is so easy. A dummy can do it. You put your car year in, you go to brake parts, and it tells you all the parts you got to order. So these are the sensors right here. Okay, so that's off now, and then I don't even need to really take this out, but I know one of the things I like to, I don't even really need to do it because it's not in my way anymore. So I'm just gonna leave that in there. I didn't even need to take that other one off, but I'll put it back. I always do a checklist at the end. So anyway, I got this off now. So when we take off the caliper in a second, the only thing holding it onto the car is this stainless steel brake line. And we don't want that to be the holding point for the heavy caliper and pads. So we're gonna have to put this on a bucket, which we have over here, which is another critical thing. I happen to have a pail that works the right way. It's gonna go like this. I'm gonna put it in, you guys will see what I'm doing here. All right. So when I take the caliper off, I'm gonna rest it on this upside down cleaning container. You can use anything you want you got laying around in your garage or your shed, your basement to prop it up, but I'd say you need about 12 inches height, a foot off the ground to give you that support so it doesn't hang on the stainless steel braided line, because that's what's going to hold it at some point, and we don't want that. So that's that. All right, let's get to it here. I'm going to go ahead and take this off now. So now we're going to take the T55 torque wrench. You're just reversing the torque right now, so let's click that. This. I'd say I got 20% pad left on these rears. All right. So you see, now one of the things, the proper use of a torque wrench, so I don't want to insult anybody's intelligence that already knows this, but scientifically it makes just proper gearhead sense, proper physics, that when you use this fulcrum lever, which is what it is, a simple machine, you want to kind of hold the fulcrum point, so the load transfer is really at a right angle instead of at a twisted angle when you loosen like this. And now see, it comes off very easy. Even from the factory, 20,000 miles in, 63 foot-pounds doesn't require gorilla-like torque, all right? But it's just enough to keep it stout, and then you just like this. That's it. Gentle. And I always alternate. I never put too much loosening or tightening on one side of a system if I can avoid it. I always kind of alternate back and forth to kind of get an even unloading or loading. Now it's pretty much, it's off. So very loose. And these are what hold the calipers. Literally these two bolts are the only thing that hold the caliper onto your car. All right, now I'm just gonna take this off and do a quick spin. All right, look, this hasn't come out ever. I know the history of my car, even though I bought it used. There's never been a brake job before, so there's no reason that these calipers haven't been on in this position since it came out of the factory. So that needs a little bit more. Okay. Tell you, this is as close to Zen in the art of motorcycle maintenance as I'm gonna get, and it's a lot of fun doing it. The hours just fly by, and you're focused. It's the kind of task-minded work that's good for the mind and body, especially during the pandemic and everything that's going on. This is really time well spent. I mean, it's incredible. I can't say how much fun and focus I've had doing this, and I was really proud of the way the first side went because I didn't think I could do this beforehand. But anyway, like I said, in terms of bleeding the brakes, that's something that I'm not sure how the car is going to drive or what the pedal is going to feel like. The pedal did sink to the floor when I got in the car, but that's because I moved the calipers out, and they had to move back in, and fluid had to kind of get pushed around. Makes physics sense, but it's still kind of funky when you do it, and you wonder if you did it right. But like I said, fortunately, I'm going to a speed shop and having the whole brake fluid system flushed and new SRF racing fluid put in, which I think is essential if you track your car in any way, shape, or form. You really need to do that. But that's a story for another day. But you see these bolts? They're pretty long. The M12s. This is what they look like new. Oh shit! I got a low battery warning. How much power do I got here, guys? I can't tell. Crap, must be 20%. Let's hustle. All right, so that's the new bolt. Taking the old one out. I'm going to show you. Let's get this going here. I do not, it's the old one, it's black. I don't know if it started out silver like the other one, but now it looks like this. Here's the other one, can you guys see? There we go. Okay, so now, what this means is the brake pad should come off, but like I said, it's been, you gotta do this, and you gotta do all that. And then there it goes. Okay, and it literally just kind of pull it. Y'all see what I'm doing? And then boom, there it is. All right, now I rest it right on there. See, perfect height, that's about 12 inches. And it's not putting undue stress on the stainless steel line. Let me see if I can, I might have to move this like this so you guys get a better view of what I'm doing here. Let's see, is that good? Yeah, let's take a look. Let's take a look at stuff here for a second. So there's my old pads, very thin, and they're also glazed to crap because my last track day last year was a heavy threshold braking event day. A lot of sessions, certain kinds of corners and turns and straights required basically nearly, you know, taxing these stock pads and calipers and rotors to their limits. Making me actually wonder if I should, you know, upgrade to a better braking system for those kinds of tracks, but I chose not to for a variety of reasons. Valid nonetheless. I think this is the way for me to go, is just replace with OEM. I don't want to sell the car with all kinds of funky upgrades on the car, make the next owner wondering what the heck was going on my end. I'd rather keep it simple and OEM and replace as needed. It's also the most cost effective. So anyway, you can see the wear there. So these pads are going to pop out, but we got to get that sensor off in order to make life easy. So this is how we do it. Watch. Okay. You guys can see. Oh, I know this is frustrating. Bear with me all. Okay. So this wire is hanging free now. All you do is twist it, pull it out right there, and then we're just gonna get this red wire here up over that hook. You just pull it out. Like I said, brakes, doesn't matter. I got new ones, I'm gonna use a new one anyway. All right, and now, make sure you guys can see what I'm doing. Let's come over this way. Okay. I hope there's enough, I hope the lighting's okay here. But, so now you see it starts to float out. And I'm just gonna rip it out because I don't have the patience to, I'm putting a new sensor in anyway. Oh, you see, sometimes you can't just rip it out. You gotta hit it with a hammer. Ah, there we go. What made that hard to get out was not any kind of attachment to the car caliper, not any attachment by the pad to the caliper. It's literally just the sensor in that recessed receptacle area. And since I'm chucking this thing, I don't mind pulling it out like that, right? So you can see the wire in there. So that's something you can just, I could take a screwdriver like this and take the mallet and just do it that way. But like I said, we're gonna wind up replacing this. So you know what? Let me just do it anyway, just to show good form. Let's see. There it goes. Pops right out. There it's go. Make sure you guys can see that. Let's hold it still for a second. See what I did. This sensor goes in here. It fits naturally easy. When we put the new ones on, you'll see. It comes out the same way. All right. I don't know what you guys are seeing. Let me see. Might be too close, and I apologize. Oh, darn. I'll hold it for now. Okay, so now we get this pad out of here. That's the old pad. That's junk. Man, look at the abrasions and pits on this thing. Holy, that's why I was having some pedal feel issues at high-speed braking. Because this thing just got shot at the last track event. It never recovered. You know, you go on the internet and guys are like, hey, you know, on the forums, you know, drive for another 3 weeks, another 1,000 miles, it'll wear away and blah blah blah. That was a bunch of horse manure. That never happened.
It may work for some guys, but like I said, if you cook these things hard at a real track, you know, this is what happens to your OEM equipment. And that's understandable because it's OEM, it's for the street, it's not really for the track. But stopping power is fantastic on these OEM equipment. So I feel like the performance of the braking system is so good, so redundant, that I don't need to upgrade to higher brake levels because of the stopping power I need, because I'm not wanting for any type of additional stopping power. What you're wanting for, if you're going to regularly track, is the longevity, or at least the ability to withstand intense heat and not degrade to the point where it's going to affect the feel of your braking driving home or in other track sessions later on that day. It's made to be continuously punished in a high heat environment, high cycle environment. That's the reason you want to upgrade. So yes, of course, if I was a dedicated track car and I had a spec car and I was preparing for track, 100% you'd want to have a larger, more heat dissipating rotor. You definitely don't want to have these stupid holes. That's not really right for track use. You want to have a slotted rotor. You want to have an aggressive racing compound pad, and then you're good to go. You know, you can deal with the squealing and all that stuff because, again, it's just a track car. But if you're streeting the car 80% of the time and tracking 20% of the time like I do, OEM is still the way to go, and that's really a credit to Porsche because their OEM equipment is so good that you're willing to do 20% track on it and just, you know, replace as needed the pads. The rotors are fine, but I'm doing the rotors because under classic, you know, procedure, protocol, you really should change your rotors and pads at the same time. And doing this through Suncoast and doing it myself enabled me to save enough money to do the rotors as opposed to, you know, taking this to a dealer and having them do it for literally, you know, another $2,000 on top of what I would have paid if I did it myself. So anyway, there's your pistons. Now, quick thing here. You see these? These may be able to push back in place, but I don't have enough strength to do that. That's not going to happen. Let me just get this old sensor wire out here. Pull it out. We're going to throw this away. That's garbage. All right, and now we're going to use the brake spreader tool. So let's put this down. All right. I don't know why the lighting, when I put this down, the lighting seems to, maybe it's because the rotor is, oh man, so unprofessional. Okay. My apologies. Let's get the, what we're going to do, brake spreader tool. All right, this is pretty commonsensical. Narrow it down so it fits in here. Get this going like this. And we're literally, oh, you know what? I messed up. I took the pads out. You're gonna do this with the pads in there. Duh. Not a big deal. Pads go in very easily. Just wasting your time and my time. Apologize, guys. I'm chit-chatting too much. I can't walk and chew gum at the same time, if you haven't noticed. I'm not a good multitasker. Looks easier when other people do it on YouTube and they talk through their stuff. And I always say, that's easy, I could do that. And here I am talking and skipping steps, so we don't want to do that. Anyway, sorry about that. So let's get this back in. That's not a big deal. It'll just take a second. All right, get that in there. There we go. So that one's in. This one will go. And by the way, one of the things I always wondered when I did this is, do these pads really pop in and pop out without having to unscrew or screw anything? And that's absolutely correct. They literally just pop right in like that. All right, now you can see how the pistons really push these close together. So now we're going to take that brake spreader tool again. I got to narrow it up, so I'm going to narrow it down. Let's get it so it doesn't hit things on the car. Get that in there like this. You can see what I'm doing. Can you see what I'm doing? Yes, you can. Okay. All right, now you try sticking it all the way. The sensors are gone. I'm not worried about that. And you just start to twist it, and you're going to see them start to open. You're going to see them start to open up. Ready? And this is the part where your fluid is getting pushed back up your line all the way to your brake reservoir. And that's why you want to take that turkey baster and get rid of some of the brake fluid in your brake reservoir before you do something like this. Now, the next question you may have is, when do you know is good enough to stop? And that's a fantastic question. I didn't know. I guess for me, I eyeball it to see when it really kind of looks like it's flush with the edge of the inside of the caliper, and also when there's a lot of tension required, or a new level of high tension required on the twisting, which means that it basically hit its stops.
And I think I just about hit it. Yep, you don't want to overdo it. I don't want to damage these things. Take that out, and now that you see how wide they are, let's pop these out again. Pull these out, there you go. It's that simple. Now one of the things I'm going to do here is I'm going to vacuum and I'm going to steel brush a little bit. And I'm going to put that mask on. Voila. Don't feel like breathing in brake dust of any sort. Let me get got the brush, just a simple metal brush, and I just do a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Nothing fancy here, you just kind of get whatever gunk you can get off, since you're getting in here for the first time in a long time, and you might not be back here for another long time. It's good to do this. This is sort of like that OCD part of the process where you always wonder, do the guys in the shop actually do this, or they just take the old brakes off, put them on, and not give a crap about the customer's car? You'll never know because we don't watch them do it. But when you do it yourself, this is the love and care part that you do. Just make sure that, you know, you get a little bit of oxidation, rust, or gunk off the process here. You know, as much as you can. Not a perfect science, just getting some of the... Actually, these, I gotta tell you, I mean, the parts are they're relatively clean. I mean, it's surprisingly how clean everything kind of stayed. There's no buildup of crap and gunk like, you know, I have some other cars, I've looked at the brake systems and, you know, it looks like they went through 50 million miles of, but no matter how violent you drive this car, these parts are just made to, they're so stout. It's so impressive to work with equipment like this right from the factory. I mean, if a car weighs 3,100 pounds and it has a caliper that's this stout, and this is the rear, by the way, but it's smaller than the front, and it's only 2 pistons. Well, the front's 2 pistons too for mine, but it's a lot larger, obviously. But, you know, just the heft, the stout, and the build quality, and the way it's kind of self-preserved, it's self-cleaned itself, the way it's designed, it just prevents buildup of stuff. You know, it's just ergonomically designed well and built solid. Just, I mean, Porsche is probably the only OEM equipment car out of the factory with parts that look like they're 4 levels upgraded, you know? So it's kind of cool to see the inner workings of your car this way. So I did the best I could. Now I'm going to take a quick, run out of batteries soon. So I'm going to move quickly here. We'll vacuum out. All right, there you go. I'm gonna move this over here again. I don't know why the light doesn't show on this side. All right, but what we're gonna do now is we're gonna put the new pads and sensors in. This is a pain in the butt, this part.